What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to my channel. So this is the second part in a three-part series of terms that you should know. This one we're going to be discussing wholesaling terms. If you're starting out in wholesaling, these are terms you should be familiar with, so you know what we're talking about when you're talking to investors, when you're talking to sellers, and you basically knows the ins and outs of the business, or at least a general perspective. So first of all, I want to talk to you about wholesaling. Wholesaling, we are not dealing with the typical retail market as most realtors do. We're dealing with maybe 6 to 10% of the population. And we are dealing with properties that have either a distressed property or a distressed property owner. So what does that mean? Distressed property means there is a problem with the property. That means these are the houses that if there's one in your neighborhood, you don't want that ugly house staying in your neighborhood, because that house has boarded up windows, that house has a tarp over the roof, that house has tall grass, it looks horrible, and it's stinking up the neighborhood. So that is an example of a distressed property. There's some problem with the property because someone's not utilizing it. Obviously, you know, it's either abandoned, who knows, or maybe a drug house, like who knows what's going on, but there's a problem with the property. So moving on, we may also be dealing with distressed property owners, which means the property may be in great condition, it may be perfectly fine. But if you're a distressed property owner, your life isn't fine. There's a situation going on that you need a solution for. So this may be someone that's in pre-foreclosure, this may be someone that's getting a divorce, this may be someone that is, you know, has a medical problem, you know, that's causing a financial hardship in their life. These are just some of the examples. And so as a wholesaler, we are trying to solve their problem one way or another. And it involves obviously the real estate in their life, the property. But if you're not solving a problem for them, don't waste your time, because that is the value that you are providing to these types of people. You know, so I just want to make that clear. If you're dealing with someone that just wants full, you know, a full asking retail price for their property, refer them to a realtor, because that's not someone that has a problem. They have no situation, no financial hardship. Their property is in excellent condition. Refer them to a realtor. You can't help them out. They have no problem. So moving on, another thing that I want to talk about is how to calculate, you know, basically, so you guys know, there's an equation, a typical basic equation that most people use when they're calculating what offer they can present to their seller, right? So we start off with ARV, which would be after repair value. After repair value means exactly what it says, the value of the property after you remodeled it, after you repaired it, and basically it's typically the market value, right? The highest that it would sell for after it's been repaired. So after that, you're typically going to take a discount off, because we are wholesalers, we're not retailers, right? When you're buying something at a retail price, you're buying it for the highest price, and that's typically how the entire population buys their home, right? They buy it at a retail price. With investors, we're buying at a wholesale price. It needs to be a discount. If there's no discount, we can't make a profit. So, and we're in this business to make a profit. We're not a charity. So obviously that's how we're buying homes. So at a wholesale price, typically you will also subtract repairs. You might subtract your wholesale fee, and then you will get to MAO, which means maximum allowable offer, which means the maximum offer, right, that you can give to the seller. The maximum, the highest you will go, and this will vary for each person, right? He could just edit that. All right, so back to what I was saying. So you will take ARV minus whatever discount in your market, minus your repairs, minus your you know, closing costs, realtor fees, whatever, if you're going to flip it, minus your wholesale fee, and you'll get to your maximum allowable offer. Moving on, there's two sides to this business. There's the acquisition side, which is basically you dealing with the seller and your sales skills, right? Putting a property under contract. And then there's the disposition side, which means you're selling off, right, the rights to your contract to another end buyer. There are different types of investors that will buy something like this. There is the buy and hold, which is the type of person that just wants to be a landlord. They want to buy another rental property at a discount. Then there is the fix and flipper, who, you know, as the term states, right, they're looking to fix up the property and flip it, sell it on the market, and make a profit off of it. Then there is someone that's like a fix and hold. It's like a mix of both. They're looking to fix up the property and then keep it as a rental property for them, which, depending on the market that you're in, there are investors like that. With the disposition side, I just want to give you guys some terms that are very typical when you're selling a deal. When you're selling a deal, you need to ask for non-refundable earnest money deposit from your end buyers. In a market with a big ARV of maybe 150, 200,000 above that, I would typically ask for about $5,000. If it's less than that, you may ask for $2,000, $3,000, just evaluate it, right? And so it should be based off the purchase price. And what I want to say is, basically, if this buyer tells you, look, I want to buy it for the price you're selling it for, you send them a contract, they sign on the dotted line, but they 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, I don't know how long your contract says, but the time frame passes and they never get a deposit to your title company, you have nothing. Nothing. Right? The buyer has no skin in the game. So you need to make sure that there's a deposit in with your title company, because if they decide at the end when you're about to close, look, I don't want to buy this property anymore, you say, not a problem, I'm keeping that non-refundable earnest money deposit though. So just so you guys are aware how you can kind of combat this. However, I would suggest, if there's an issue with the seller that no longer wants to sell, an issue on your part that may come up, then I would return the non-refundable earnest money deposit to your buyer, you know, because we work with integrity here, right? If it's your fault, you're not going to keep it, just, you know, you're going to give it back to them. But if it's their fault, you keep that, you keep that deposit. And moving on, then another thing you want to be aware of is an assignment fee. So basically, if you put a property under contract with the seller, let's say $10,000, and then you decide, I'm going to sell this property for $15,000, $20,000, whatever it is that you decide, the difference between those two contracts is called your assignment fee. So it's just a difference, and that's what you're making as a wholesaler. There are different ways you can close on a property. If you're just assigning it, then everyone is going to see the HUD, or the closing statement, which summarizes each person's fees, the seller fees, what they make, the buyer fees, what they're buying it for. And you can also ask for a split HUD, or a blind HUD as some people call it, which just means instead of, the HUD usually comes with seller and buyer side. I mean, depends, but you can ask for it to be split. So the seller only sees their side of the transaction and the buyer only sees their side of the transaction. So that's one way. Another way is you can also double close on a property. Double closing is exactly what it means. You are actually closing on the property now. You are buying it. You may own it for 5 or 10 minutes and then sell it off to your end buyer. And there are title companies that will use, just so you guys know, typically it's called, like, the seller will be A, the wholesaler will be B, and the end buyer will be C. So they will use the B to C funds to fund the A to B transaction. So you can use the end buyer to fund, like, your double closing. Not all title companies do it, but something to be aware of. And those are basically the main points I wanted to bring up with dispositions, just so you guys are aware. And of course, always feel free to put comments down below what it is that you guys are looking, right, to understand, what you guys are looking to learn more about. Want to provide more value for you guys, and check out the link in the description below for more information. Also, if you grab something, you learn something from this, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and I'm going to be giving out more content in the near future. Stay tuned for that part 3 in this 3-part series where you can learn about creative financing. Thanks, guys.